Welcome to Fine Fires YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about the current situation at Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at Disneyland. So Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, now we're going into another weekend of operation. How are things working out? Today's video is all about travel planning for all the people that haven't been on this ride, what to expect. What is it, the process? How is it all working out? Is it worth getting an individual lightning lane? That's what this video is going to be all about. So for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, the queue is one of the most beautiful things about the ride. There's so much to look at. For the most part, when you're in the queue, you're just amazed at all this cool memorabilia over the years of Mickey Mouse career. It's just really cool to be in there, which at the same time, kind of, if you think about it, hold standby, because a lot of people are just content with just being in the queue. But what has happened a lot lately, Mickey and Minnie's has been getting busier and busier and busier, and an extended queue, which has been put on the outside of the ride, that has been used a lot, which adds a lot more back and forth for people to pack up before you actually get into the pre-show. And then once you get in the pre-show, you still have to wait in line because there's another line to wait before you actually load on the ride. 7 a.m. is still the time to get your boarding group for Mickey and Minnie's. For the first week, it was almost nearly impossible to get a boarding group. It just couldn't. I failed like every time. Now that we're going into another weekend of Mickey and Minnie's being open, 7 a.m.s, a lot of people have been way more successful. And I'm talking about from a local perspective. I don't know about the people one day ticket, the key to getting boarding group is still swiping for the refresh at 6:59 and 59 seconds. If you do the swipe at 7 o'clock, you already lost. It's literally that crazy. And I'm talking about the 7 a.m. boarding group. For the most part, when you do a 7 a.m. boarding group and you get that boarding group of like 1 to 100 as your boarding group to load or get on the ride, boarding groups just allow you to wait in line. They're not necessarily made for you to wait less in line. That's not the case. For the first boarding groups, like I was talking about 1 to 100, for the most part, if you're in those first groups, you're pretty much just going to walk on the ride. It's not going to take that long for you to load. Once you start getting into that like 10:30 to midday, that's when Mickey and Minnie starts kind of getting up to that 30 minutes to 1 hour wait time. And for the most part, what I have heard from like 12 o'clock to the rest of the day, you're waiting like over 1 hour for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. The ride itself has had a lot of challenges. It does break down a lot. And there is lots of times where they do exit the whole queue because the ride's just not going to reopen in a reasonable amount of time. At that point, obviously, they give people return times and stuff like that. And then individual lightning lanes, they give you another individual lightning lane. Sometimes they do allow you to refund. You might have to go to City Hall for something like that. If you're just like, hey, I don't have the time anymore to ride it again. I just want my money back. If the ride breaks down, that does happen. I've heard that a lot from a lot of people. But recently, I tried to do Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at 11:30. I had a backup boarding group because you could get a boarding group at 7 a.m. and 1. I was actually lucky enough to get a boarding group at 1 o'clock this past Friday. And I think I was 279. That was my boarding group. And I expected Mickey and Minnie's to have a short wait time at 11:30 at night, mainly because a lot of people went to World of Color, Fireworks, Wondrous Journey, they all went home. Fantastic just ended at 10:30. All those people went home. So I went to Mickey and Minnie's at 11:30. I was a backup boarding group. They actually got to 279. So shout out to all the cast members working Mickey and Minnie's. You guys did amazing. As a backup boarding group, you're obviously not guaranteed to get on the ride at all. But I was lucky enough to get it at 11:30. And at 11:30, I was in that first room where they have like a photo op, and the line just didn't move for like 10 minutes. I don't think it's because of individual lightning lane. Maybe there was issues, or maybe that extended area just has so many people that the line just doesn't move. I don't know. But after like 10 or 15 minutes, I kind of gave up because I just didn't want to be in that queue for 40 minutes, hour and a half. Ride breaks down. They're for sure not going to reopen that late at night for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So I just abandoned ship. I was like, I can't do it. So what I want to say, for the most part, from opening to like midday, you're going to be looking at about a 30 to 45-minute wait. Anything beyond midday and to closing, Mickey and Minnie's, for the most part, is going to be 1 hour plus. That's kind of how it's been playing out. Even on the weekdays, as crazy as it seems, Disneyland's been pretty busy every day. The demand for the theme park is higher than it's ever been at these lower time periods when it's supposed to be slow time. It's really not. So for boarding groups, people have been getting more success at the 7 a.m. But for the most part, I really am hearing almost like a really high success rate of people getting boarding groups at 1. So that Hunger Games feeling of boarding groups from the first weekend where it seemed like nobody got a boarding group. For the most part, a lot of people are getting boarding groups. It's become a lot easier. So may the force be with you. Anybody trying to do Mickey and Minnie's with the boarding group process. For the people coming one day, and Mickey and Minnie's is very important to you because you want to be back in Toontown. You want to experience the new ride. Individual Lightning Lane, to me personally, is extremely worth it. For the most part, it has been sold at $15. It was only a couple days, if I can remember, that it was sold at $20. But $15, that individual Lightning Lane works. When you do the individual Lightning Lane queue, it takes you directly to the pre-show. You do get to walk on the side of the queue, so you still get to experience a lot of the queue. Not necessarily every scene, but you get to see it all. But you're pretty much getting on the ride within 5 minutes, if that. It takes you straight to the pre-show. Once the pre-show is over, obviously you got to wait a little bit more, but you're pretty much on the ride. So individual Lightning Lane has a lot of value from a time-saving perspective at $15. It's a pretty good deal if you ask me. It is $15 per person, so be aware of that. But I recommend individual Lightning Lane. Lots of times too, not every day, but boarding groups do get kind of crazy in the morning where the queue literally goes to the entrance of Toontown. So maybe there's still a lot of flow to work out how they want boarding groups to kind of stack on themselves as time goes on throughout the day. But for the most part, I really feel like Disneyland's done a great job. Boarding group is still the only way to ride this unless you buy an individual Lightning Lane. Hopefully at some point in time, it goes to Disney Genie Plus, kind of like how Web Slingers, right? Where it's just no longer on individual Lightning Lane, no more boarding groups. Hopefully we get Mickey and Minnie's at that point soon. Only time will tell. But for the most part, Mickey and Minnie's closes at 8 for fireworks, so definitely be aware of that. It seems like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's kind of a little bit more challenging because Toontown has to close. So be aware of that on your trip. This whole video, I wanted to do it just so you could have an understanding what the current situation is of this new ride and experience happening in Toontown. Lots of times too, when you're in Toontown, it's just fun to be in there because the right side of Toontown is open. You know, we don't have Roger Rabbit just yet. That's a topic for another day with hopefully changes that happen to that. But it's just fun hanging out in Toontown. So don't forget, just because you have a boarding group, it's not just the ride. Enjoy the land. Enjoy the vibes. And there is a restroom all the way to the left. If you're in Toontown, you don't have to feel like you have to leave because there's a restroom in there too. So just be aware of that all the way on the left side of where you're currently able to walk around inside Toontown for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. But that is it. Just wanted to get this information out there for some travel planning tips. We will keep everybody posted with all the changes that are happening because Toontown reopening did move to March 19th, which is a Sunday. So if you got a reservation for the previous day, change it. Get the new day for March 19th. So you're here or for that weekend, or no, not that weekend because it's on a Sunday. I don't recall the last time a big event like this happened on a Sunday, but it's going to be fun. So Sunday, it's going to be very busy. I'm guessing a lot of Magic Keys will be available that day. So be prepared. It's going to be kind of crazy that day. So that's it. That's all the information I wanted to go over in today's video. Hope this helps. One thing before I get out of here, that extended queue that you see that goes outside the show building, what I have been told for the people that have waited from that point, it's been an average of like 40 to 45 minutes. So once you finally get to that point, expect about a 40 to 45 minute wait from there, from the extended queue area. All right. So be aware, bring your patience if you're trying to do Mickey and Minnie's. Just because you got a boarding group doesn't mean you're going to weigh less. All right, everybody. Don't forget, smash that like button on the way out. Thank you for supporting the fire. We are firing it down, firing it down. The Cali Bay is calling it a day. I'm the main host, Mondo. Out.